everyone, and welcome back to another week here at the Damage Report. I'm John Iadarola, and as always, we're joined by the amazing, the talented, the thankfully here, Francesca Fiorentini. How's it going, Francesca?
What?
I was really worried with all the tech problems we're having that your video was stuck.
What up, Twitch and Twitch only? How's it going, John? Oh, here we are again.
Wait, are we not live on YouTube? No, we're totally live on YouTube.
No, I just want to do this just for Twitch. Because somehow, like, I'm a gamer, yo. No, look, John, cases are climbing, and I'm scared.
I know. We're gonna talk about it. Oh, it's gonna be exciting.
This is a news show, right? That's what we do.
Yeah, that's like the label we put on the YouTube videos, I guess. Like, you have to be in a category, and we're not quite fashion. So, I mean, we do have nice T-shirts like this one, which is available at Shop TYT. And we did used to do a fashion segment on Think Tank. But anyway, yes. So we've got news for you about the pandemic, about weddings, and the people who speak at them. We have an amazing throwback to 1 year ago in the pandemic. A video that I think a lot of you will probably remember. Let's see, Lindsey Graham, is he Rambo or could he whoop up on Rambo? One of those two things is true, and a lot of other stuff. We got Satan's shoes, as we always do on Mondays. So lots to talk about, obviously, should be really fun. Before we jump into it though, I did want to let you know a couple things. One, that you can like this video. Did you know that? You probably didn't know that, but you can. And it's helpful. And if you're on YouTube, there's an additional thing you can do. You can become a YouTube member if you'd like to. It gives you access to Twitch style emotes. If you become a level 2 member, it gives you access to our weekly top 10 list. This week, we're doing a top 10 list on the top 10 worst things about the pandemic ending. So that should be fun, probably get us in trouble. And tier 3 members get access to our monthly live Q&A, where we hang out and just talk about whatever. Sometimes politics, sometimes not. And you can become a member according to, there should be B-roll or something that's like showing you how to do it. Do we have that? Because I can't really describe it. There's a button, and it seems like you want to be on desktop to do it. Apparently the mobile apps have some issues. So if you do have a problem, that's one way to fix it. But you can get access to, you're seeing their information about what the different tiers have and all of that. So you can find that out. You can sign up, there's a little join button. So really easy process. Hopefully that works for you. And with that, ready to do this, Francesca? Oh God, is she frozen or is she doing the thing again? That's gotta be frozen, right? She can't be that still. I predicted it like a minute ago, by the way, that she would freeze. Okay, so let's see if, should I start? Do we think we need to reconnect? I should start? Okay, this will be exciting. Let's see if Francesca joins midway. Unfortunate news on the pandemic, and that is that after weeks of declines of cases and then a plateau, the average number of new COVID-19 cases saw a 7% increase from the past week, according to the CDC. The average of new virus-related hospitalizations also saw a slight increase from the previous week. This is not evenly distributed across the states. More than 24 states have seen more than a 10% increase in new cases compared to the previous week. So while we are very happy to report when the news is going in the right direction with COVID, we also need to keep it real. And when it goes in the wrong direction, as it is right now, we have to be clear about that too. Now, in addition to the overall number of cases going up, the B.1.1.7 variant, which was first spotted in the UK, has now been identified in 51 US jurisdictions, and it's believed that very soon that is going to be the dominant variant of the virus that is infecting people. It is easier to spread. It is apparently more lethal as well. And so after a whole bunch of good news, Francesca, the cases are starting to go up just a little bit once again.
We can't have anything nice in this country. This is just, this is what we're doing, where we think we're out of the woods and we're not. We're like, oh, I could light this fire while I'm here. And among all this dry brush, I'm gonna go hang out with all my friends. People are tired, I get that, but like, we cannot let up. And even if you're vaccinated, I think we need to behave like we're not vaccinated. We need to be wearing masks. I think gathering, yes, but like wear your mask, please, please. Because we know these vaccines are, what is it, 75 to 80% effective. That's not to say that people won't still get COVID and could have lasting COVID effects, as so many hundreds of thousands of people around the world have gotten. Long COVID is no joke. There are lasting effects. I've read articles about, some like mental health effects of long COVID, in addition to physical effects. So it's so worrying. I like woke up and I saw the little line creeping up, and I was like, no.
Don't do that.
I want to leave. I want to leave.
It's like a kitten perched on a table about to push something off the edge. Stop. But no, unfortunately, it is going up. Now, there has been good news, really fast to reiterate. Lots of states are going to meet or beat President Biden's call to have access to the vaccine for everyone by May 1st, including, by the way, California. I did not expect that we would, but in less than 2 weeks, no matter where you are in California, me here in LA, Francesca in San Francisco, you will be able to sign up for an appointment for the vaccine. So that's good. But that said, so far, less than 30% of the US population has received at least one dose, and only 15.5% of Americans are fully vaccinated. Now that is weighted obviously towards those who are at the greatest risk of hospitalization or death from COVID. So even with the cases going up, we should hopefully not see hospitalizations and deaths rise as much as in past peaks. But we still have a long way to go to get everyone vaccinated. So bear that in mind when you're running, like when you're going around, you still have to be diligent. I was in a line at IKEA. There was one family not wearing the mask, and it's not over. It's not over. Like, you gotta actually still wear it.
Damn, IKEA in a pandemic. You are testing fate, my friend.
They were keeping, the reason there was a line was they were not letting a lot of people in. So it was pretty good. Plus, it's a big area. Like, you're not really close to people. And I didn't lick as much stuff as I normally do there.
Sure.
I think I was okay. Yeah. Anyway, we do have some other updates on IKEA. Sorry, the pandemic. One of the most controversial medical figures during the pandemic was probably Dr. Deborah Birx, because she was on the inside, and we believe that she did some good work, but she also occasionally wouldn't call out Trump, like during his bleach moments, and she said some things that were really unfortunate about him early on. Now that he is gone, she is being more open about the process along the way, and she's receiving some support from people who generally are a little bit more trusted in this area. So we're gonna run through all of that, including first here some video. This is coming from CNN's weekend autopsy of the pandemic and the failures to deal with it. So here she is talking about what she thinks could have been done to save lives and how many lives might have been able to have been saved.
Well, I look at it this way. The first time we have an excuse, there were about 100,000 deaths that came from that original surge. All of the rest of them, in my mind, could have been mitigated or decreased substantially.
Okay, so it's the sort of thing that obviously gets a lot of headlines. And look, her saying it does mean more than some random joker online. But I feel like we've been saying that, and it seems like the most obvious thing in the world, Francesca. A lot of lives could be saved if we had done things.
Yeah, very brave stance, a year later. Now that you're out of the administration and the eyes of the world aren't really on you. I mean, yeah, yes, we've been saying this from jump, and yeah, Dr. Birx has been trying to save herself since, she allowed so much BS to pass through her and was sort of tapped once again because of her fancy scarves and her elegance to be like the Trump whisperer. And so I've said this before, I don't envy her position, but you have a position, you have a responsibility, and your job isn't really to be a groomer of the president. He's ungroomable, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That pony don't want to get his tail brushed. He wants to just gallop around. You're gonna have to be the one to tell us the truth. 1 year later, we're getting it. I mean, to be honest with you, why stop here, right? What about a criminal case? What about actually holding people accountable? Deborah Birx in some ways is trying to walk back and distance herself as far away from this administration as possible, just in case we would ever do something like that under President Biden. I don't see it happening, but man, I think it should.
Yeah, I think one of the weirdest things about all of this is, like, first of all, basically as president, you can't go down for anything. But the things that in theory you could are always way smaller and more specific and less consequential than the things that you never could, you know? Like they got Nixon, but but if Trump failed and 300,000 people died who didn't have to, well, that's politics in America. Maybe we'll get them next time. Isn't that weird?
Yep.
Isn't that weird? Like, I don't know, man. Like for instance, if I was working the fries at McDonald's and I dropped a rat in there, I could, there's failures that you can get fired for, and every other, I don't know why I had the rat.
No, yeah, but if all of the fries have a little bit of rat feces in them,
yeah,
and a bunch of people die from E. coli, yeah, you don't, that's
it's
just
weird that, yeah. Anyway, he definitely, there's rat feces all over America.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like we always waited for him to go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone, and he didn't quite do that. But I think he did one better when it comes to murder and taking lives with him, and his ineptitude and his ego and like lies. So hey, hats off to the guy who we won't. I don't know if we'll ever have justice for the amount of lives. I know there's a class action lawsuit waiting for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think that we will. But so let's continue on with Birx.
Yes.
Birx in this interview talked about the politics of the White House, and let's see if we buy it.
Is your sentiment right now? Are you upset? Are you frustrated? Sad?
I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged that there's a team in the White House. It was very difficult being just one person in the White House. And I think people really didn't understand. I was the coordinator of the response. I wasn't the originator of all of the responses. HIV was what we call a symptom.
In March, when Dr. Birx was recalled from her post as global AIDS ambassador to join the task force, she had little experience working inside a White House and quickly realized that the role of the doctors was not going to be at all what she expected.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Good evening. I underestimated the White House and the politics, but throughout these 11 months, Dr. Fauci and I probably talked or text 5 out of 7 days every week.
So, sure, yeah, I guess. I don't know. That whole thing though, Francesca, didn't it feel a bit like a PR rep for Birx would have put together this with CNN? Obviously that's not what happened, but it reads like that. It reads like wanting to protect her, defend her, remake her image after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, mainstream outlets love that. Oh my God, Birx is gonna write a book. You wanna write a book? Were you part of the administration? Did you like it? Did you hate it? How did you feel? Like, we are going to make a star out of you. Can you dance? Like, this is what mainstream news does. It's not about
sing with a mask on.
Yes, exactly. Sure, just put the scarf over the face, and sing for your penance. Like this. This is what we do. We resuscitate people. I mean, interestingly, the only group of people we haven't fully resuscitated, although Jenna Bush is on NBC, is the Bush administration, in part because the mainstream media.
Damn. Yeah, sorry. We just have a policy where you don't get to criticize George W. Bush. We're gonna cut your feed for that. So she knew that, by the way. She was warned. No, anyway, we're just kidding. Although I would say, I don't know, all the stuff about him painting pictures of dogs and stuff, that kind of felt like a bit of a resuscitation of George Bush. I don't know. I'm not saying that long term he's super acceptable, but I bet people's opinions of him have changed quite a bit. Anyway, we're gonna get Francesca back. I did want to continue though, because while we're still very skeptical, Dr. Birx does have a defender that generally people trust a little bit more in this area. So here is Dr. Fauci being asked about his working relationship with Deborah Birx.
You were working together. Did you have a strategy to do this? A good cop, bad cop?
I was the bad cop. She was the good cop. They referred to me, as I often say, as the skunk at the picnic, because whenever they would say things were great, I would say, I don't really think so.
Should Americans be prepared for the likelihood that there will be 100,000 Americans who die from this virus?
The answer is yes. It was easy for me to say that out loud and just openly say that because I had my base. My base was the NIH. But Deb had a much more difficult situation. She had an office right there in the West Wing. So I'm very, very reluctant to condemn anything that, even though there are people who feel that she should have pushed more, she probably should have. But boy, she did a lot of good. She knocked herself out, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, putting that data together, presenting it every day.
So I'm still, after the experience of last year, it's going to be very difficult for me to really fundamentally change my view of her. I do, look, I'm not, the Fauci sexual or whatever terminology they might use. I'm not like obsessive in my praise of people like this, but I do trust him more. And the fact that he's been willing to say things that potentially could get him in trouble in terms of his career is noteworthy, and also more than we were seeing from Deborah Birx at the time. So look, his opinion does count for something, and him saying that she was working a lot counts for something. I don't know, it doesn't seem like the work ideally should have influenced Trump and his policy. Now, maybe that's an impossible task. Maybe there was nothing that could, roll that boulder up the hill, I guess. But the fact that she put together the information and then be presented to the American people, sure, that's good. But is that what people remember those press conferences for? When they were so often taken over by Donald Trump for his insanity, to talk about hydroxychloroquine and things like that. I don't know. I guess maybe there wasn't much she could do in that area, but I guess it counts for something. I just don't know how much. Now, Dr. Birx does have to, I guess, address one of the worst early moments of her performance as an aide in this effort in the White House. And she does so in the CNN interview while talking about her overall strategy for dealing with politicians who don't necessarily trust science. Let's take a look.
If you knew anything about this White House, they kind of had an anti-science, or at least not a significant science-supported reputation. How did you plan on dealing with that?
I've dealt with presidents and prime ministers around the globe who will often have misperceptions about diseases and the community that disease impacts. But I've always found that if you can find that common ground with the information and data, they will change policies. He's been so attentive to the scientific literature and the details and the data. And it's part of the reason why I did say at one time, the president looked at the data and understood the data, because he wouldn't have shut down the country for 15 days and then another 30. But that never really happened again, because there were too many parallel streams of data.
Okay, and look, in the extended interview, which you can find, she goes into those parallel streams of data and they talk about where they're coming from, and they correctly identify, I think, that Scott Atlas was one of those, although they imply that there are others. I don't know, there's a certain amount of investigation into that sort of seems at some point superfluous. Like, I don't necessarily believe that Trump changed his view because of Scott Atlas. He brought in Scott Atlas because Scott Atlas was saying the sorts of things that he wanted to hear on Fox News. I feel like the causality is weirdly being diagnosed going in the wrong direction there. I think he started looking for people like that because it was a convenient thing politically for him. The weight of the sort of ideological pressure was to reopen regardless of what happened. So let's get some people wearing suits to say that that's the right thing to do. I don't think it was that he was having these meetings with Birx and he was like, I was checking your methodology and I really think that you're missing some things. I just don't think that that's what happened. I think her strategy in theory could work. It is not necessarily a terrible strategy to go in with most politicians who are vain, simple, and curious creatures and sort of flatter them and that sort of thing. And Trump is perhaps the clearest example of that. The thing is, if you do that publicly, like it's one thing to do it in meetings with them to try to make them feel better about all this. But if you go out and one of the first things we see from you is you saying that Donald Trump of all people could be a doctor, that he's just absorbing all of this stuff. And then you leave that out there and he's in charge now and he's communicating about, hydroxychloroquine and all that, then that's done some actual damage, I think. And you rolled the dice, I guess, and it didn't work out, and it's consequential. And look, there's a lot more. We don't have time to go into everything. She talks about how she feels like she was being censored. I guess maybe, but you're a public figure. Like you can get onto any one of these networks. If you feel like there is a message that they won't let you deliver at a White House press conference, but has to above all be delivered, you can do that. It's not really being censored. It's like not being boosted, but at a certain point, maybe a message being delivered is more important than you still being on the inside, especially if we're into August or September and it's clear that they're not listening to you anyway. I don't know. Fauci speaking out for means something, but a lot of it just feels like PR. It feels like PR way after the fact. It feels like a continued effort to be able to work your way back into the Biden administration, and probably for the right reasons, probably wanting to help, but that it sort of reeks of that, and I just don't like it. Anyway, we are apparently having some continued trouble with getting Francesca. Do we want to go to a slate very quickly, or should I just proceed with comments and things like that? What do you think? And this is mostly okay. So let's see what's going on out there in the audience as we try to reconnect. We had our first super chat was from T-Ness, who says the SNL skit of Sidney Powell was hilarious. I agree. Sassy Strong is hilarious. I preferred her Marjorie Green from the last episode. That was really funny. Maybe we'll get more of that at some point. We got a super chat from Franklin Sharp Slicer. It says to TDR, John and Fran, I'll tell you what I can. I dumped my Georgia stocks and refused to buy anything Georgia can supply. No Georgia products, who cares to join? I can't vote at polls, but can with coin. Not bad and topical. Yeah, and I know that people are putting a lot of pressure on the professional sports teams to sort of like pull out, I guess. I don't know exactly how that would work. It has worked in some cases. I don't know. I feel like they really do believe that this is essential to their party existing. I wonder how much financial pressure there would have to be that they would weigh that over stopping people from voting. Carson Rodkey says, happy to report after your furlough, I've been called back to work. Working on making the happiest place on earth also the safest place on earth. Yes, Disney is reopening. Stay safe, Carson. I hope to eventually go there after I am totally vaccinated and a nice buffer period has happened. I would like to do the Pirates of the Caribbean again, so we will see. Anyway, Dragonheart says, really random question. I know you play D&D like I've done for years, but have you ever tried LARP, running around the woods or wherever playing characters? It's fun with the right group. I have not. I'm not much of an actor in that way. Like for me, it's always a bit at like arm's length. I don't know. But if you enjoy it, I'm glad that you do. Kelly June gifted a tier 1 sub over on Twitch. Thank you for that. Tandy B gifted 2. Brandy Lou gifted 5. Thank you to all of you for that. Unprecedented Madness on Twitch says, did you go to IKEA to get their $2 breakfast or their meatballs? I did have the meatballs. They are delicious, especially after walking around that entire store. Okay, Heterodox Records says, hello John, I've been a TYT member for years and I subscribed on Twitch this weekend to pass some of those Bezos bucks on to the cause. Thanks for giving us real news for real people. Thank you, I appreciate that. I know we're getting updates. Fran is still trying. Perhaps she could try doing it directly on her phone. Would that work? I don't know, maybe using your cellular connection. Anyway, just an idea. Technology is the best. Someday we're gonna do a show and I'm gonna be sitting at a desk with Francesca. Isn't that gonna be weird after all this? Anyway, the show must go on, Fran or no Fran. So let's launch into this next story. We've been having a little bit of fun, I guess, remembering the last year of the pandemic by noting some of the anniversaries. And the anniversaries really of some of the most outrageous things that were said along the way that sort of set the tone for the pandemic. Got a special one for you today. It is Kenneth Copeland, and he wanted to just end this thing early on. 1 year ago today, we were supposed to be done with this pandemic, as you'll see.
Execute judgment on you, COVID-19.
Oh, Ramash.
I execute judgment on you, Satan, you destroyer You get out. We break your power. You get off this nation. I demand judgment on you. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Yes.
I call you done. I call you gone. You come down from your place of authority, destroyer. You come down and you crawl on your belly like God commanded you when he put his foot on your head in the Garden of Eden.
He sort of like ran out of in the Garden of Eden. Jesus. We have Francesca, right? Francesca, were you able to see that?
I'm so sorry. Are we talking about devil worship?
I think, look, the people in the crowd don't think that that's what they're doing, but I think that's the closest thing to what it actually is. It's not original to point it out. Many people have. There is nobody on the planet who looks more like Satan cast in human flesh than Kenneth Copeland, which you would imagine would be like a roadblock to getting a job as a priest of some kind. That dude looks like he's got demons in his skull. I don't believe in any of them, but I start to when I look into his dead abyssal eyes.
He looks like I am so sorry for the internet problems, but he looks like the who's the snake in the Jungle Book? Is it Shere Khan or
Shere Khan's a tiger?
He looks like a Jungle Book character. It's not the snake, but he's scary. You know what I mean? Just like
the snake. I think you mean Shere Khan, actually, maybe. Yeah, like it's not even a good performance. Like he was stumbling over it. He can barely move, and he's got that really sad sidekick who's doing like a 1/10 energy version of what Kenneth Copeland is doing, because that guy doesn't have demons in his soul. So he's just like holding his hand out like, yeah, demand belly. I like the belly part. Do the belly thing. Oh, maybe it worked. Maybe immediate, like maybe this is as fast as God could do for the vaccinations. He said, I want it immediate, and God's like, how's a year? Maybe we got it because of Kenneth Copeland. Anyway, I
haven't had internet, so like for a brief, honestly, for like 4 minutes, I felt very calm and present.
Yeah, no, you're back into the breach once again. Anyway, the last thing I'll say is, look, there are a lot of good people who have honest religious beliefs in a number of different things, and every religion has its crazies and its extremists, but how does he have anyone in that room? Like, I get maybe he's wealthy, he builds the room, he stands there and he shouts, but it should be at empty chairs. Why is anyone sitting in that room and thinking, this guy's got a direct through line to God? The person who created the universe is channeling through this goblin in front of me. And sure, all of his predictions are wrong, none of them come true. But yeah, no, this is the guy I want to give money to.
Do you think Jesus was this obnoxious? You know, like Jesus didn't come down like, I swear to God, like he was not crazy. He was, you know, I mean, I feel like, you know, he was soft spoken, sandals, any guy in sandals, you know what I mean?
That's the way they present him, yes.
How were his
toes? Maybe it's not honest, I don't know.
I'm curious about the toenail. Did he have toenail hair? Was the were the nails clipped nice?
For Kenneth Copeland, I think it's technically.
Oh no, Jesus. Oh no, I'm not talking about Jesus.
Nail, but anyway, yeah.
So Kenneth Copeland is just turning into a nail.
His whole body. Anyway, that was just a quick little look back at one of the steps along the way of the last year. There will be others and worse, but I happen to remember that one. Okay, now with that, why don't we jump into something completely different? The country is once again locked into a debate over doing something about guns. Spoiler alert, we won't. But Lindsey Graham wanted to get involved and make a case for why he felt he personally needed to have access to AR-15s.
What's wrong with a serious debate after all of these shootings about
assault weapons, and especially about large capacity magazines, which a lot of studies show contribute to these mass killings.
There's nothing wrong about debates. As a matter of fact, I would challenge Senator Schumer to bring the assault weapons ban to the floor of the United States Senate. It won't get 50 votes, much less 60. I own an AR-15. If there's a natural disaster in South Carolina where the cops can't protect my neighborhood, my house will be the last one that the gang will come to because I can defend myself. You don't have to have an AR-15, but if you have one lawfully, I think you should be allowed to keep it. Most of these problems have a lot to do with mental health. Count me in for addressing that issue. Red flag laws exist in 19 states. There's some things we can do, but at the end of the day, if you think an assault weapons ban is what the country needs, bring it to the floor of the United States Senate and vote on it.
Yes, and look, Francesca, he basically is saying, bring it. It won't get 50 votes. I hate him. He's terrible. But is he wrong there?
Lindsey Graham is he's so obviously partisan because in mixed in with his I'm gonna shoot the hurricane if there's a natural disaster and no one can take that from me. But I do believe in mental health background checks. But anyway, you're not gonna get it through. Boop-a-doo, I have no moral values. He is such a partisan puppet. It does there's somewhere deep in there is actually what he might think. And again, he sort of blurted it out. But yeah, he's just challenging us on the sheer vote numbers rather than the implications and the importance of getting some kind of assault weapons ban passed to save lives. He knows it'll save lives, and then he's just using. Yeah, I look. First of all, Lindsey, honey, no one's coming to your house either to rescue you or steal all your weird porcelain kitty cats that you have. Cause you've got dolls. Nobody wants your doll collection. Nobody wants your gun. Nobody wants your Nazi memorabilia. No one's stealing anything from you.
Yeah, well, depending on how you define doll, I have a lot of toys in my house. So let's not throw stones here, Francesca, okay? And I don't have an AR-15 to defend my Funkos. Anyway, yes, so there's so many levels that you could prosecute this case on. The actual substance of whether these changes, as Francesca points out, would actually help. What the American people actually want would be one thing. Just what your senators will vote for is it's not that it's pointless. It has a point. It stops the legislation. It's devoid of anything beyond the raw exercise of political power. Now, we should acknowledge briefly that, look, Lindsey Graham is, at least in theory, better on this issue than most other Republican senators. He alluded to red flag laws. He has previously actually supported those. Who knows if in the end he would actually vote for them, but he's been talking about them for a couple of years. That would be helpful. A lot of Republicans will say, let's care about mental health or let's worry about the crazies, but they wouldn't pass any legislation that would ever take a gun away from anyone for any reason. They just don't think that that's right. He apparently is not one of those. But while we should give him credit for that, the thing about when a wildfire comes, as someone noted in the Twitch chat, the fire's shooting at us. Yeah, no, that's not what you need. Stop. As I always say, when they have their fantasies about militias and all of that, I have fantasies about fighting orcs. But I don't try to legislate based on those fantasies. You can have your fantasies and have fun with it, but you don't set government policy based on the insane things that you imagine happening that will never actually happen. So as Robert Kelly pointed out on Twitter, he is setting out a scenario that we should legislate based on, which is that a natural disaster has happened. It's so bad that the police and the National Guard and the military can't help him. That's how bad it is. Gangs have taken over the streets, and that's what we should legislate based on. Not someone can get one of these guns and shoot up a Walmart. Things that actually happen. So we have the things that actually happen, and we have the things that the fantasy is. And also, isn't it weird that in his fantasy, he, a US senator, is holed up in his house rather than going and trying to solve the problem in some way? He's not actually even trying to be a part of the solution. But more importantly, I would say, it really does betray a view of American society that really seems at odds with our actual experience. So he believes that, when the going gets tough, that's it. You just have to start shooting. And he imagines, gangs coming, and that's the threat. If he were to actually define what he imagines that threat looking like, it would get really, really bad, really fast. But in practice, a lot of people have been through experiences like this, and it isn't actually that way. So in response to one of the videos of Lindsey Graham, Tim tweeted, "I lived through a natural disaster in South Carolina. It was called Hurricane Hugo. For 10 days, there was no electricity, running water, or cops, no marauding gangs attacked, only neighbors helping neighbors. The problem isn't disasters or gangs, the problem is you, Lindsey." Another person replied to that saying, "I remember Hugo, we were in military housing. Neighbors shared food and water. Electricity was out for 2 weeks, so we actually talked instead of being glued to the TV. We were led around the commissary with flashlights. Friends drove to neighboring states for supplies." Now, you could, in theory, live and legislate based on an idea that we actually want to help each other. They pretend to believe that when it comes to their church and stuff like that, but they don't actually live, let alone legislate in that way. They're prepared for the worst in some things. In others, threats to your life like the pandemic, well, God will take care of it. But when it's a gang that's coming to your house, then God isn't good enough. Jesus ain't gonna save you. You need an AR-15, at least in their wildest fantasies. Francesca, I know that you dropped for a bit there, but any other thoughts about Lindsey Graham?
I hope I'm clear right.
Okay, so when before the gangs actually come, about a week out, you're gonna have some warning signs of the apocalypse, and it's intermittent internet connections. That's gonna be one of the things that's gonna let you know that bad stuff is coming. So that's gonna be the end of that segment. So overall, very sorry to the audience that we're having these technical problems. We are rest assured, I can see in my window, our production team is scrambling to try to fix it. I don't know what's causing it. So if you signed up for a lot of Francesca, I apologize. We are running low on Francesca for today. But anyway, I'm gonna read a few of your comments, give us time maybe to bring her back in. I should also say that this rundown was very specifically chosen for her. So that's awesome the way that's worked out. Okay, the demonstratively Dougie Dragon says, fantastic Monday, sort of. Watching from the East Coast, visiting the family after a year and 3 months, all fully vaccinated. Thank you, John, for every day. You really do make it better for the Dragon Squad. Thank you, appreciate that. Glad you're able to hang out with your family once again. Brian says, if politicians are so quick to point to mental health, why are they so reluctant to do anything about healthcare? Because they don't actually mean it. It is a very convenient, albeit temporary distraction. And you'll have Trump's healthcare plan in about 2 weeks. Oh, by the way, to add to the 2 weeks watch, so he said he's gonna be taking a trip to the border to check out the situation in 2 weeks. I don't think he's gonna go. I love that he just says, in 2 weeks, I'll be doing all sorts of stuff. It's like me for exercise or a better diet. It's always coming in a couple weeks, just never seems to actually get here. Gary Does Stuff says, Kenneth Copeland is what happens when you feed a mogwai after midnight, clearly. That's the reboot being acted out. Laura Marie Flores, welcome to Tier 1 YouTube membership. Thank you for becoming a member. Ozora says, howdy, John and Fran. It's my B-day, and I can't think over a better way to start it than with a dose of snark and giggles. Glad you made it, Fran. Keep up the amazing work and the game ideas. Love them. Thank you. Francesca, how you feeling connection-wise?
Dude, I don't know. This is, if nothing else, I just wanna say I stan Lil Nas X. I know we might talk about him. And also, you're great. I love everyone in the audience. I hate Spectrum. I hate all internet companies. And I can't wait to get back into the studio with you. So that's my RIP, that's my final words.
Yes. Really fast, one or two more Twitch comments. Eddie O'Donnell says, I demand Francesca's internet work. I demand you work. Spectrum, get on your belly. And then Francesca would be like, yeah, belly. Thank you, Eddie. Anyway, Sethian Rosen says, dude has a Hello Kitty AR-15. Look, I guess he has an AR-15, and I don't know, there's just so many of these senators that want you to believe that they're tough. Like Ted Cruz loves to have a gun in a campaign ad. there's something, it's like when you look into the eyes of like something in the uncanny valley, it's just, you don't know what it is that makes you hate that thing, but there's something wrong and unnatural about it. These guys are not being honest about their love of guns. Like, they're just not. I like guns. I like guns more than you probably think I do, more than I probably should. I don't own any, but I really like them. I find them interesting. I like the technology. I like using them in video games. And many times I've enjoyed shooting them. These guys are faking it. Lindsey Graham is not gonna be like peering like through his window, like to ward off the militias or coming through the tree line. That's just not happening. And I think we all know that. Anyway, okay, with that, while we have Francesca, why don't we jump into our next story? The saga of Sharon Osbourne has come to an end, or at least this chapter has. She's gonna be leaving CBS's daytime talk show, The Talk, after all of the stuff that happened in the wake of Piers Morgan and the Meghan Markle interview and all of that. To catch you up, earlier this month, she expressed her support on air for Piers Morgan after critical commentary he made about Meghan's interview with Winfrey. She made it on air. She also tweeted saying, Piers Morgan, I'm with you, I stand by you. People forget that you're paid for your opinion and that you're just speaking your truth, which the concept of speaking your truth is annoying enough by itself. Don't deploy it in defense of Piers Morgan. He's not living, laughing, and loving. He's not on a culinary retreat to India. He just doesn't believe the black woman ever tells the truth. That's all it is. It's not speaking your truth, it's speaking your racism. That's all it is. Anyway, we have a bit of video from the talk, so let's run to that and then we'll give you our thoughts.
I feel even like I'm about to be put in the electric chair because I have a friend who many people think is a racist, so that makes me a racist. And for me, at 68 years of age, to have to turn around and say, I ain't racist. Right. What's it got to do with me? Okay, how can I be racist about anybody? How can I be racist about anybody or anything in my life? How can I?
Well,
what?
We will be right back.
What?
We have more topics, so don't go away.
And I think we should stop this.
Okay, I apologize. I don't know any of their names, but that woman at the end was total, whether intentionally or not, trying to save Sharon Osbourne from herself by cutting to that commercial, because that was not good. That is a breakdown, basically, that Sharon Osbourne just had. I believe we have another breakdown, and that is Francesca. Was Francesca here? Do we have Francesca? I thought I saw her shake her head. Unfortunately, we lost her. Anyway, so look, the fact that they're moving on from Sharon Osbourne, look, people are gonna have an issue with it. They had an issue with Piers Morgan. Is it just because she defended Piers Morgan? That's how they might try to pitch it. I honestly, it feels like at this point, based on again, not that I super dwelled in the weeds on this, I feel like she really went more into it on a personal level than Piers Morgan did. Piers Morgan tried to start some sort of feud with Meghan Markle, I guess. Sharon Osbourne was really talking about herself there. And if you've had questions about Sharon Osbourne's views or thoughts on race or how it might have intersected with some of the other people that had worked there, I think this really rearranged those things. So we have a tweet from Holly Robinson Pete who says, I'm old enough to remember when Sharon complained that I was too ghetto for the talk, then I was gone. I bring this up now because I was mortified watching the disrespectful, condescending tone she took with their co-hosts who remained calm and respectful because she had to. Yeah, and so it doesn't seem like this is the first time, and it seems like it is not just a personal thing. I think people could have an issue with it if it was just a personal thing. But if it has led to conflicts that have ended jobs for people, and that was being influenced by her own personal racist views, that's a big issue then. That may not be what most take away from this. Certainly her defenders are probably not gonna stress that sort of thing. We have a message from her spokesperson. It says Sharon is disappointed but unfazed and hardly surprised by the lies, the recasting of history, and the bitterness coming out of this moment. She will survive this, as she always has, and her heart will remain open and good because she refuses to let others take her down. So if you feel that this was not a thing where she was going to really be open to learning and evolving, they're doubling down on that, Francesca.
I don't know if my connection is good. Once again, Mercury must be in a million retrogrades. I apologize if I am a pixelated monster, but at least I'm not like a angry boomer, like white lady who's had many things given to her throughout her entire media career by being the wife of a famous rock star, and then freaking out on national television in the year 2021 about potentially being racist. I'm not racist. Tell me to my face. Tell me. I just like, there's so much fragility, and like, if you need a lesson in white fragility, watch that clip again, because it's so painful that people aren't able to even interrogate their own belief system. They're not able to like sit down and like be humble, you know what I mean? As Kendrick Lamar said. And Sharon Osbourne, of course, when you inflate these characters, when you inflate people like Piers Morgan, you can't be humble because your entire career has been devoted to you not being and having great internet, and like that I don't have.
You don't, not nearly. She's probably got fiber, but anyway. Yeah, no, it's a great point. Look, how could I, a 60-year-old white woman, be racist? I just don't get it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, how could I, let's say 32-year-old white man, how could I be racist? Yes, I totally could. That's how that works. You try to both believe and say and do the right thing. But like, if you don't have that history, which she really doesn't, and the things you're saying are exactly what racist people say, then yeah, that's probably gonna hurt you. That's gonna hurt you in this particular time. And I don't know exactly where they're gonna go from here with this. CBS says, going forward, we are identifying plans to enhance the producing staff and producing procedures to better serve the hosts, the production, and ultimately our viewers. I don't know what any of that means or what any of that has to do with what we just saw. It's not like what Sharon Osbourne was lacking was the correct procedure. But anyway, yes, Francesca, your quality is totally worth it. And we can still hear you, your audio is very good. So I think that's the end of this. We'll see, maybe she'll be a correspondent on Fox News soon, I don't know.
Yeah, no, she will be. And I just wanna say, like, last thing, like, it is hard to hear that you might be racist or have said something insensitive. It is really difficult. But once again, an exhibit A of how not to respond. And the more that we have systems in place, the more that we stop propping up people who are problematic, the more that we can name something without, and no one's talking about canceling, but again, calling in versus calling out folks, right? This is not about sending folks to the dustbin of history. This is about calling on them to be better. This is, and so if she has a history and a pattern of saying racially insensitive things, and by the way, you heard her say, I ain't racist. Like, please just don't say I ain't, or just don't. You're a white lady, stop it. Stop, don't use that inflection or vernacular that you to deny your racism. It's so painful. So just to say, but it is on all of us, even if you're not white, I'm Asian. I think I think we all have our blind spots. We all have room to grow, and like seeing Sharon Osbourne's knee-jerk reaction is like, oh God, like we all have that little part of us that's like, I'm not racist, like how can we, calm that down and do better?
Yeah, you're 100% right. We all have blind spots. The worst one to have is a blind spot about your blind spots, to believe that you can't have them. And she clearly thinks that she has a little bit of that the Bill Maher thing. I've already proved myself. Get off my back. What are you talking about? Me racist? No, I'm too cool for that. It's impossible. How could I, an 80-year-old white man, be racist? Well, apparently you found a way. Damn it, they found a way.
102, John, 102, yes. Don't be.
Anyway, okay, we're gonna press directly on because we've now had Francesca for longer than usual, so that's good. Let's see what we can get out of this. Let's jump into this. We were in an unprecedented time for the Republicans, for conservatives across America. They were now, according to them, the cool ones who were like open about everything. And you libs just want to stop stuff and you don't want people to say things. We're cool, we like free speech. We're just open like that. Oh my God, someone made a shoe and the whole thing came crumbling down. Because Lil Nas X, who we talk about constantly on this show, came out with a pair of Satan shoes, featuring a bronze pentagram, an inverted cross, and a drop of real human blood. So these shoes came out, and every Republican has lost it over some sneakers. So the governor, Kristi Noem, said this: "Our kids are being exclusive. But do you know what's more exclusive? Their God-given eternal soul. Pump the brakes, governor. Pump the Dakotan brakes. We're in a fight for the soul of our nation. We need to fight hard. We need to fight smart. We have to win, and we need to put the right things on our feetsies." Okay, she didn't say the last part, but wow. They're exclusive, you nincompoop, because they're only making 666 pairs, okay, which are now sold out, shockingly. Francesca, what do you think?
The far right is just mad. Like the real Nazis are mad they didn't come out with a blood drop shoe before that, because that sounds like something they would be super into.
Yep.
If it
Aryan
didn't
blood.
come out from a exactly, oh, full of Aryan blood, perfect, exactly. Candace Owens first in line. No, it's actually kind of quaint and also very telling that we're back to this like satanic panic, conservative Christian right, Harry Potter's the devil, like that kind of, sorry, I have to do the Sharon Osbourne still, but like that kind of like mania, because it feels like maybe there's larger consensus about the big stuff, about climate change, about healthcare, about like racial inequities and policing, the need for policing reform, the right to an abortion, all the main things, massive inequality, all the important stuff is being ignored. They got to focus on blood drop shoe. And so there's that. There's a little bit of, oh, that's cute. You're trying to like bring this back. It's so old school of you.
It is. It's look. I think so they're predisposed to do it. They love this stuff. They love like it seemed interesting to be like the cool hip ones, but then they're like, oh no, wait, getting worked up over Satan. That's better. But then also you add the layer of Q, which has gotten people re-obsessed with Satan. So I think that being able to attack him is like a way to like wink wink at the Q people without being explicit about it. Right. But anyway, so they've lost it. We're gonna have some video. In response, Lil Nas X posted a video to his official YouTube account titled Lil Nas X apologizes for Satan's shoe, which has now been viewed over 1.8 million times, probably far more than that by now. But after a few seconds, the apparent apology cuts to a scene from his new music video, Montero, showing him dancing provocatively with a devil character. The rapper is then pictured snapping the devil's neck before removing his horned crown and assuming himself. So I don't get what the problem is. He killed Satan. Isn't that what you want? He killed him. Isn't that the good thing?
First of all, the music video slaps. And the music video is amazing.
Yeah.
The song slaps. The song, because sometimes you don't know. It's like, oh, is the song gonna be good? I love Lil Nas X's first album. It is so good. And then the music video is it's what Madonna was doing in the 80s, right? It's like,
well, they hated that.
A black angel. Yes, they hated that. And Lil Nas X is gay, and the song is like, call me by your name, call me in the middle of the night, like let's do this. It is a gay black man embracing his sexuality, and it's very, very good. The song is good, the message is good. It's all just throwing everything. I'm surprised he wasn't drinking out of like a paper straw during and like eating vegan during the whole time. It's everything that scares the right, and I love it.
Exactly. Now, we are gonna get to in a little bit some of his more aggressive messages around this. but he did try to smooth things over initially, tweeting, "We have decided to drop these to even the score. Damn, y'all happy now." These are his Chick-fil-A John 3:16 sneakers, which they're not actually selling those, but if we could eventually get to the picture, they're pretty funny. And he really does have a sense of humor. Some of his social media stuff that we're gonna get to is pretty insane. But first, I wanna go to this. Fox and Friends was not going to allow the Satan shoes thing to pass them by. They had to weigh in, and they're not gonna let something like the facts get in the way. So take a look in real time at how the misinformation happens on Fox and Friends.
And singer Lil Nas X causes uproar over shoes that contain a drop of real human blood. The so-called Satan shoes are to promote his newly released music video. Each shoe features a Bible scripture and upside-down cross. 666 pairs will be available starting tomorrow, with one pair costing more than $1,000. And those are your headlines.
What?
Drop of blood.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want that in my shoe.
You know who makes them?
Who?
Nike. That's a Nike shoe with the sign of Satan on the top, called Satan shoes.
Get out of here. There's gotta be more to this.
I saw it before the show. So you can't have the Betsy Ross flag.
Yeah.
Come
on,
man.
You can have Nike-made Satan shoes. It's a real thing.
Will's in disbelief. He's like, I'm being pumped.
Talk about I feel like I'm missing a piece of information.
You're not. Because you know how many of them there are being made? How many of the shoes are being made?
She said 650.
666.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm not kidding.
It's a little weird.
Look it up.
It's a little odd.
When up is down and down is up, and that's exactly where we are as a culture.
Something's.
It's really unbelievable.
Let's ask Adam. Adam, would you buy those shoes just out of curiosity? Maybe someone would like them. I don't know.
Could he say yes now?
I was gonna dodge this. They're not really Nike. They're Nike shoes, but there's a middleman who bought Nike shoes and is turning them into these.
Is that what
really?
It is?
Oh, really?
Nike's not making these shoes.
So it's like
I'm positive about that.
But Nike probably could sue them if he wanted for using
their
likeness
missing
and
information.
image.
Thank you for that.
Oh, so I was dead wrong. Wait, but Nike could sue them, and if they don't, then they're condoning it. No, people can do stuff on shoes if they want to, and then they can sell it. That's. Anyway, yeah, up is down. This is where we're at in our culture, says the guy who's conveniently believing whatever fits into his worldview and then straining to not learn anything when that as a way to operate is shown to be false.
Thanks, Weatherman, for doing our fact checking.
Exactly, in real time. And so,
what else do you? Hey, is climate change real? Oh no, still fake, still very much fake. But the shoes are yes, they're
Again, like I said, it's we're cool and edgy. We're like the dark web. Oh, they made 666. How dare they? Because numbers have some sort of metaphysical meaning. Who cares? It's a stupid number. It doesn't mean anything. None of this means anything. Here's the thing about the Satan shoes. There's no Satan. Satan doesn't exist. He's a fictional character. Like Hagrid, somebody wrote about him in a book and that's it. He doesn't exist. And even if he did, he doesn't care about your feet or what you put on them. And if he is focused on that, then I don't think he's that big of a threat, honestly, Francesca. But that's the thing, at the end of the day, these people really believe in biblical fairy tales. That is, you cannot get farther from cool and edgy than I believe the thing a person wrote 2,000 years ago as totally true. All of it's true, the mark of the beast, the horns, the numbers, it's all true. And oh, by the way, they shouldn't be allowed to sell these because that was what was running through all of that. He was mad at Nike. He didn't want Nike to sell the shoes. Now he's not gonna say let's cancel Nike, but that's what he means.
Sounds like he wants them canceled. No, you're exactly right. You open the segment saying exactly what needs to be said, is that the right has no claim to the idea that like they're the party of free speech and people just want to live and do what they. No. White people, rich, white, mostly men, have a right, straight men have a right to do whatever they want. If you're within that certain Venn diagram, if you check 3 out of the 4 of their boxes, then you have a right to do whatever you want to do. Usually that means causing harm, insulting, berating, belittling, taking away the voting rights of a minority group, people of color. And that's a-okay, right? But yes, it has nothing to do with real free speech. Just like in our previous segment, Lindsey Graham's gun laws. It's like, yeah, and like, so are you gonna go resuscitate the Black Panther Party? Do you still think that was cool? Because the FBI sure didn't. And I feel like you were on their side on that one, even though they were proving that point. So we can't forget this, especially on the internet where it's like we're constantly fed, oh, see, you know what, the cancel culture, again, exhibit, I don't know how many we're up to now. 3,000 something, probably more like in the millions. But here you go, Lil Nas X and this stupid freak out.
Totally, and they're not gonna listen to us or whatever, but I would hope if you see someone who might not identify as hard right, Fox and Friend, whatever, that is advancing this idea that cancel culture or political correctness is this thing and it's just the left that does it. It's not true. It's never been true. It is a very convenient ruse to play on the American people to imply that one side's open to everything and let's all be cool and kumbaya, and the others are a bunch of Nazis that are trying to cancel everything. As I've always said, everybody doesn't like some things. Everybody doesn't like to hear certain things. If you want to test the commitment to saying politically incorrect things on the right, start talking about Christianity. And let's see how much they like you pushing the boundaries of political speech. They never have, they never will. Anyway, we have very little time. Let's roll right into our next topic very briefly. I realized along the way that I forgot an awesome, hilarious video. We're gonna have to bring it back for tomorrow. Unfortunately, we don't have time, but we are gonna go into this. Donald Trump popped up over the weekend, not like in public or whatever, but at a wedding at Mar-a-Lago. Whether he was asked or not is not clear, but he just started talking to them and he did a bit of a wedding toast and it looked like this.
So it's a rough thing, and I just say, do you miss me yet? As we were saying, we did get 75 million votes. Nobody's ever gotten to that. They said, get 66 million votes, sir, and the election's over. Well, I got 75 million, and they said, but you saw what happened. 10:30 in the evening, all of a sudden they said, that's a strange thing. Why are they closing up certain places, right? A lot of things happening right now.
So sad. He's still talking about, hey, random people, listen to, hey, did you hear what happened at 10:30? There was big dumps. All I have left is big dumps. Anyway, that was someone's wedding. There was a bride and groom sitting off camera. This is memories they're gonna have for the rest of their life.
He does not know that couple, I bet you anything. He has no idea who they are, never did. They rented Mar-a-Lago out. Sure, they're like MAGA, but they like didn't want
Yeah, we ran out of her. Again, I thought she was about to criticize George W. Bush, so I cut her connection. Anyway, yeah, I think what she was
speaking.
Do we have you? I don't think that we have her. Yeah, no, look, apparently the guy was like a donor for a while or whatever, but no, I don't think that they know each other. What I will say though is, well, obviously this is not what a rational person would want as their wedding toast. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even about the couple for the most part. It's just him complaining and saying nobody's ever gotten 75 million votes, which by the way, he didn't get 75 million, he got 74 million. The guy who did get 75 million got more than 80 million, that was Joe Biden. He always leaves that part out. That said, I will predict that this is exactly what that couple wanted. It's not like you don't have your wedding at Mar-a-Lago and then feel inconvenienced when Donald Trump turtles his way onto the dance floor. You did it there because you like Trump against all odds. They probably believe that he actually won. They probably loved that he showed up at that thing to then stand with the weirdest posture ever. Like, really, look at that video. I don't understand how his body functions. But anyway, there was a little bit more from the video that I wanted to focus on, mainly because you can see in real time the attempt to shift the Republican narrative around the border. So here is Donald Trump in more of that wedding toast.
The border is not good. The border is the worst anybody's ever seen it. And what you see now, multiply it times 10, Jim. You would know how to handle. He's the only one I know that might handle the border tougher than me. But we have to, and the tough is in the most humanitarian way, because that's what it is. What's happening to the kids, they're living in squalor. They are living like nobody has ever seen anybody. There's never been anything like what's happening. And you're gonna have hundreds, and you have it now.
Okay, so yeah, nobody would be tough for nobody, but the tough would be humane, right? Because now we're the ones who care about the kids because we're not in power. Yeah, we have to do it because nobody's seen it. You know, there's apparently like the numbers go up this time of year every year. That's what happens. But and nobody's seen, like, we've been critical of the facilities that the kids are being holding in. Nobody's seen them. You saw them. You set up those same, in some cases, the exact same facilities. So to imply that like nobody's ever seen any of this, no, but you want that. That was Stephen Miller's wet dream, was the establishment of these tent camps and the kids in cages. He wanted to see tiny little faces through chain link fences. That's how his marriage is able to continue. And so yeah, like they're trying to cover for it. They want to pretend again that now that they're out of power, it's Biden who's being needlessly cruel. And so anyway, I just thought that was an interesting little note, Francesca. Did we lose Francesca again? Dear God, we had her briefly, I swear. Cancel culture has come for Francesca Fiorentini. I've been predicting that it would happen for a long time, and unfortunately, I think it is here. So I think I'm gonna pull the plug on this one. I've had a few problems. I don't know if she'll make it in time to plug her show. So in case she does not, Francesca can be found on Twitter at Franny Fio. She hosts, Francesca, you here?
Yeah, well, I'm here in audio, I don't know.
Do me a favor and plug your show as fast as you can.
This is awful, we need a do-over. Okay, yes, the Bitchuation Room on all podcast platforms, and also YouTube/Franny Fio is where I'm at. So sorry, this never happens, that's what he said. And this has been a great show. And yes, Trump did not know those people at all. Oh my God.
Totally.
And he's sober the whole time. I can't believe he was sober. He was sober. Does he not know how to breathe right? Like, how much did he forget?
Long COVID. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, long.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Yes, so you can expect that the frozen Francesca emoji will probably be coming pretty soon. Francesca, thank you for both your commentary
cute,
and
frozen?
adorable.
Did I freeze cute? Was I like this, or was I
better than in motion? Honestly, no. Thankfully, you didn't have that. So we're gonna get a good still for that emoji. But thank you for powering through and reconnecting. Most people would have quit. So thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for watching what passes for the damage report these days. Really do appreciate that. We've got big plans that probably won't happen for the rest of the week. But anyway, Anna Kasparian is gonna be joining us. We got a lot of good stuff. So yeah, bye or whatever. Anyway, yeah, no, until next time, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll try our best to see you soon.